Welcome to The Explainer. I want you to think about something for a second. What if our DNA, the very code of life itself, wasn't just about chemistry? What if it was actually about geometry? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty fascinating theory that suggests there's a hidden mathematical blueprint secretly shaping our entire existence. So, this whole idea comes from something called the codex biogenesis theory by a French researcher named Jean-Claude. And really, it all boils down to one profound question. Is our genetic code just a product of chemistry, or is there an elegant mathematical blueprint hidden just beneath the surface? Look, we've all seen that iconic double helix, right? It's the symbol for life. But what if that shape and all the information packed inside it is actually following some kind of deep, universal mathematical logic? That is the absolute core of what we're going to unpack today. Okay, so to really get our heads around this theory, we have to think of life as this incredible balancing act. It's happening between two totally different realms. On one hand, you've got every possible genetic combination you can imagine. And on the other hand, you have the cold, hard reality of what actually works. The theory says that the math behind that balancing act, well, that's the whole secret. So let's break that down. You've got the realm of possibility. This is just a huge, almost infinite ocean of potential genetic combinations that could exist. And then you have the realm of reality, a tiny, specific, hand-picked set of building blocks that life actually uses to, function and thrive. All right, first up, let's tackle that expansive side of things, the realm of possibility. We're talking about the entire universe of potential genetic information here. The number we need to focus on here is 128. Now, why 128? Well, the theory proposes that this number represents the total informational space within our DNA. Here's a quick way to think about it. Our genetic code is read in these three-letter words called codons, right? Well, if you take the codons on one strand and then their mirror images, the anticodons, on the other strand, you end up with a universe of exactly 128 possible pairings. And this is where it gets really cool. That number, 128, it's not just some random number they pulled out of a hat. No way. It's the sum of the seventh row of Pascal's triangle, one of the most basic, fundamental patterns in all of mathematics. The theory's big claim? That's not a coincidence. It's a sign that the very potential for life is built on a universal mathematical law. Okay, so that's the world of possibility. But what about reality? How does nature take all of that raw potential and filter it down to what actually works? Well, that's where the other side of the coin comes in, the compressive force. This is the formula that brings order out of chaos. And the magic number for reality? It's 21. Just think about that for a second. We start with 128 theoretical possibilities, and all known life on Earth is built from just 21 functional outcomes. That's it. That's the 20 amino acids we need for our proteins, plus that one crucial stop signal that tells the process when to end. And just like the number 128 had a home in math, the theory finds a place for 21 too, but in a totally different kind of pattern. So if Pascal's triangle is all about infinite expansion, this structure, which kind of looks like lightning or the branches of a tree, is all about organized compression. It's basically a mathematical picture of how a system can get super efficient and narrow down all its options to find a stable working core. And check this out. This is how the theory basically turns biology into straight-up math. It gives each amino acid its own numerical value, based on its atomic mass. All of a sudden, the messy, complex chemistry of life starts to look like this elegant, predictable system. It stops being just biology and starts looking a lot more like an algorithm. Okay, so now we have our two big numbers, 128 for all the possibilities and 21 for what's real. But how does life get from one to the other? How does it bridge that huge gap? Well, the theory has an answer for that, and it calls it the golden bridge. And the answer the theory gives is pretty stunning, actually. It's a single equation of life. One formula that mathematically maps the 128 possibilities onto the 21 realities. And what's at the very heart of this equation? You might have heard of it. It's phi, the golden ratio. Yeah, that same number you find in spiral galaxies, in the petals of a flower, even in ancient architecture. The theory proposes that this is the mathematical constant that's fine-tuning the code of life itself. Wild, right? And that brings us to the really crucial insight here. The whole point is that life, according to this theory, is not just some random accident of chemistry.
Not at all. It's the inevitable result of a perfect mathematical balance, that one precise point where the force of expansion meets the force of compression, and they just balance each other out. This line you're seeing, it represents that whole journey we've been talking about. It's the process of, well, informational compression. It's taking that huge, sprawling, chaotic world of 128 possibilities and just refining it, step by step, down into the elegant, functional reality that we call life. Okay, let's zoom out now. Let's put all these pieces together. We've got 128, we've got 21, and we've got the golden ratio. How do they all fit together to give us one complete picture of our genetic code? This diagram here, this is basically the whole theory in one image. It's pretty amazing. So up at the top, you have the northern expansion. That's our realm of possibility. Then it flows down through that central waist. That's the pivot point where the golden ratio does its thing. And it ends up in the southern compression at the bottom, our 21 real-world outcomes. It's a complete, perfectly symmetrical system where pure potential gets turned into actual reality. And that central point, right in the middle, that's what the theory calls informational equilibrium. It's the perfect pivot point where the math of infinite possibilities gets transformed into the math of functional reality. And according to this whole model, that one precise point of balance, it isn't just a part of life, it is life. So what's the big takeaway here? Really, it's about giving you a whole new way to think about this. It's a perspective where genetics aren't just driven by random chemical reactions, but by an elegant, symmetrical mathematics. It suggests that our very own blueprint might be written in a language that echoes the most fundamental patterns of the entire universe. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Is biology just a beautiful expression of mathematics? Because if there's any truth to this theory, it means the exact same universal logic that builds galaxies and grows crystals is literally woven into our DNA. And that suggests that life itself might just be the universe's most elegant equation.